In a world that is constantly, and I mean constantly, fighting for your attention, have you ever wondered how you can actually fight back? Well, today we are going to dive into a super practical guide on how to reclaim your focus and really truly take control of your day.
So, does this sound familiar? Your day just feels like this constant battle against notifications, your own wandering mind, and a to-do list that just never, ever seems to end? And at the end of it all, you feel busy, sure, but not actually productive? Yeah. If you're nodding along right now, you are definitely not alone.
And here's the most important place for us to start. If you lose your focus, it is not a personal failure. It is not about having a lack of willpower. As we're about to see, there are some really powerful, kind of predictable forces at play here. And just understanding them, that's the first step to finally taking back control.
Okay, so before we can even get to the solutions, we have to know what the real problem is, right? You got to know your enemy. So let's meet the real saboteurs of our attention. It pretty much boils down to these three key internal states. First up, simple fatigue. I mean, think about it. A tired brain is always going to choose the path of least resistance, and that path is almost always distraction. Second, we've got fear. You know, that nagging little voice that's worried about failure or judgment or even the pressure of what happens if you succeed. And finally, complexity. When a task just feels like this giant, tangled knot, our brain is naturally going to look for an easy way out.
So the crucial point here is that for each one of these saboteurs, there's a direct cure. For fatigue, the answer is rest. For complexity, it's all about breaking those huge tasks into smaller, more manageable pieces. And for fear, well, it's about having the courage to just look it right in the face. We're going to build on all these ideas as we go.
All right, now that we know who the enemies are, we can start building our defense. And before we even touch on any techniques or, life hacks, we have to start with the foundation, and that is our mindset. How you think about focus can fundamentally change your ability to actually achieve it.
This is such a critical shift in thinking. We need to go from fighting procrastination to understanding it. So the next time you find yourself scrolling through your phone when you know you should be working, don't just force yourself back. Just pause for a second and ask, why am I avoiding this? Is it fear? Is it that complexity thing we talked about? That little moment of curiosity, it is so much more powerful than any productivity timer could ever be.
Ah, the great myth of modern work. I love how this slide breaks it down. We think multitasking is this amazing sign of efficiency, but really, it's just a recipe for chaos that completely drains our mental energy. True focus on a single task, though, that's not just about getting one thing done. It's how you actually build your attention muscle over time. You're not just working, you're literally training your brain.
Okay, this is so important. You will get distracted. It's going to happen. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is to get really good at returning to your focus. And just look at this process. First, you accept it, no judgment. Then you gently bring your focus back. And then you just move on. No self-criticism allowed. Every single time you do this, you're getting stronger. It's a rep.
So, if getting stronger is the goal, how do we actually do it? Well, if focus is a muscle, then it's time to head to the gym. Let's look at a few simple exercises you can start adding to your daily routine.
Here's your basic training toolkit. Just 5 minutes of intentional silence a day. That can calm your entire nervous system. Conscious breathing, that acts like an anchor for your mind, always pulling you back to the present moment. And the brain dump. Oh, this is a total game changer. Before you start a big task, just take 2 minutes. Write down everything that's bouncing around in your head. It clears out all that mental clutter so you can finally concentrate.
Now, I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of this one, the Pomodoro technique. It's a classic for a reason. It directly attacks that complexity saboteur we talked about earlier by making any task feel more manageable. But its real power isn't just in the timer itself. It's in the ritual it helps you create.
And that right there is the real magic. Techniques like the Pomodoro aren't just about managing your time. They're about creating these little rituals for starting and for ending your work. And these rituals, they act like a clear on-off switch for your brain. They signal, okay, it's time to focus now. And maybe, just as importantly, okay, now it is time to fully rest.
So far, we've really been focused on the internal game, right? But your mind doesn't exist in a vacuum. Your physical environment and your body play this massive role in your ability to concentrate.
These might seem super obvious, but trust me, their collective impact is huge. Turning off notifications is completely non-negotiable. It's the single best way to stop letting other people's agendas control your attention. A clean desk? That reduces visual clutter, which in turn reduces all that mental noise. And separating your work and rest spaces?
Well, that just reinforces those powerful on-off switches we were just talking about.
And hey, let's not forget our most powerful tool. You simply cannot have a focused mind in a stagnant body. It's just not how we're built. Movement isn't a break from the work. It is part of the work. Even just a short walk can clear out the mental cobwebs and totally reset your ability to concentrate. Your brain will absolutely thank you for it.
All right, so we've covered our internal mindset, our trainable skills, and our external environment. Now we can put it all together and aim for the ultimate goal, achieving that elusive state of deep, effortless focus that we all know as flow.
Now, flow doesn't just happen by accident. It has a very specific recipe. And you can think of it like playing a video game. You need a super clear goal. You have to know exactly what you're trying to achieve. You need immediate feedback. You need to see your progress in real time. And the task has to be a manageable challenge, right in that sweet spot between too easy, I'm bored, and so hard it's frustrating.
But how do you keep that focus going? The answer is actually in our brain chemistry. When you take a moment to acknowledge your progress, even just praising yourself for finishing one 25-minute work session, your brain releases a little hit of dopamine, and that chemical reward makes you want to repeat the behavior. In other words, focus grows wherever it's rewarded.
So, as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a really crucial reframing of what we've been talking about. The goal of all of this stuff is not to become some rigid, unfeeling productivity machine.
Instead, I want you to think of focus as an act of clarity, clearing away all the noise to make space for what truly matters to you. And even more than that, it's an act of self-respect. It's the practice of honoring your own time, your own energy, and your own goals.
And finally, let's end with this powerful reminder. Getting distracted doesn't mean the system is broken, it just means you're human. The real goal isn't to somehow eliminate distraction, the goal is to simply get better at coming back. So the only question left is, what's the one small thing you'll do today to practice coming back to your focus? Thanks so much for joining me.